Joining us now, of course, she is the one of the greats ever to wear the Alabama colors. Was of course a two-time All-American, played in three Women's College World Series. But was it one of the top pitching coaches in the country for over a decade? Helped Alabama get to six other World Series. Is now the new head coach at Memphis. I speak of Stephanie Van Brackle Prothro joining us here on In the Circle. Coach, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Good. How is that title of head coach in Memphis? Are you still is it still getting used to it there? Because even me just introducing you, I'm still like, wait, oh wait, there's a new title to be added there.
Yes. Yeah, it's definitely a change, but a good one.
Talk about the process. What was it about Memphis that led you to feel like this was the right time for you to become a head coach once again?
Yeah, it was going to take a unique situation, a special situation for me to want to leave Alabama because I played there and I've been there a long time. I spent 17 years of my life in Tuscaloosa. So it's basically like a second home to me. But during the process of the interview process, I just really felt like this athletic department was going to be really supportive. It was moving in a positive direction. They wanted all the sports to do well, and they were going to support you in doing that. It was also really important for me to be surrounded by great people, and I feel like that's what we have in this athletic department is some really great people that are there for each other in a little community inside a community. Um, so just going through the process, like those are the things that like really mattered to me the most if I was going to make a move to leave somewhere like Alabama. Like I was, all those things would have to line up for me, and really feel like it was going to be a great step for my career and my next move, kind of moving forward. So they checked all the boxes there, and this is a great place, and it's a great community. There's a lot of support for Memphis athletics around the community, and a lot of support that's just here at home. And last week we did an event, and we did it at a brewery downtown, and it was awesome. There's like 100 people that came out, all in support of the athletic program. So I think that just shows that there's a want and a need for the fans to want to come out and celebrate Memphis.
That's tremendous, and obviously it's got good barbecue there as well. Although you're used to that at Alabama as well with Dreamlands. I've been to both places, maybe the two best places with barbecue there. I'm sure you've checked that out in Memphis.
Yeah, I haven't been to Rendezvous yet. That's what you're talking about.
Oh yeah, okay.
I haven't been there yet, but we're gonna go. My husband will love that also.
Okay, well, I'll have to get you back on for review on that. I'm very curious there.
Okay.
What I'm curious, because your name has always been floated. Obviously, hey, that could be a great, fit at certain places, a head coaching job. Was head coaching something you wanted to get back to eventually? Did you think about it? Was it something that just kind of evolved?
It when I took the job at Alabama, obviously I was coming from being a head coach, so I knew like eventually I would want to do that again. I'd want to maybe run my own program. I just didn't know when. So I've had conversations in the past with some other programs and some other schools, and it didn't work out, and that's fine because God obviously was leading me in a different direction, and I just really had to trust my gut and any decision I was going to make moving away from Alabama. And obviously Murph and Allie had a huge like part in supporting me in this process. So their opinion mattered. And so getting their advice. And I went to Murph's house right after the interview, and I sat and talked to him for about 2 hours just about everything that we kind of went through here, and about my thoughts, and about, like a staff I'd put together, and just kind of those questions that were all going through my mind. I needed to bounce them off of, somebody as experienced as him. So, I couldn't be here without their support also.
What's the biggest advice he's given you, even either during this process or just in general, especially now that you're back as a head coach?
Yeah, well, when we met and talked, like my big concern was it's late in the summer, like, am I going to get assistant coaches, like really great people that are going to be a good fit for me, good for fit for the program? Because I knew I was going to have to come in here and change some things. So, he told me not to worry about that, there would be people I didn't even think about that would come out of the woodworks that would want to work for me, and that'd be looking for an opportunity just like I was. And, we talked about He asked me how I felt about the athletic director Laird and about how I felt about Lauren and like how my just kind of like my sense of feeling. Like, did I feel like they were going to be supportive? Did I feel like they were going to care about me as a person, my family, and all those things? So we just kind of sat and talked. But he told me just I think I learned a lot in my 10, 11 years there, just watching how we ran Alabama and how he has built a culture and a program over the 25 years. And obviously I played in that and then I got to coach in it. So I got to see it from both aspects. So I think that I think it's not just like one day of him teaching, but like 17 years of teaching of how it's supposed to be, how you treat people, who you surround yourself with, the demands that you put on yourself in the program and what you look for in those people that you're going to call coworkers. So it's been like a life learning kind of lesson from him and not just one specific event.
How are you a different coach today than you were the last time you were when you were the head coach at Birmingham Southern?
Yeah, well, I'm a lot older. So that's one change. I have a family. I'm a mom. I think that I've matured a lot. So, when I was a head coach, it was I'm in the playing mode, like this is how we did it as a player. And the managing of people in a program, I didn't know that well. I didn't know that. So that's one reason why it was important for me to go back to Alabama to begin with, is so that I could learn the other side of this profession, something I thought that I didn't have a great grasp on. So I feel like I bring a little bit more level-headedness, the same competitive drive. I'm still that person inside, but I'm a parent just like these kids. They send their kids to me because they're parents and they want to know that you care about them. That matters to me, and because I am one. And I just think that being able to manage people, and you're needed in a lot of areas. I think that I've really grown in that aspect, and I'm different in how I'm pursuing and managing things as the overseer of the program than what I was before.
I know you're working on your staff. What kind of staff do you want to have, and what's going to be your coaching style?
Yeah, so I do have two. One is gonna hopefully go through the orientation process on Monday, so hopefully we can get that out. The other one is here. They're both here working a little bit. But I wanted the first thing I was looking for was to have great people, high character. We're gonna do things, the right way on and off the field. I'm gonna treat the athletes the correct way on and off the field. Really we're around each other a lot, so this becomes like a second family. So you have to enjoy who you're around. So that was a big part of it. And I think like coaching wise, like I'm super competitive and fierce almost. So I want bulldogs out there. I want people and athletes that are gonna scratch, claw, fight till the end. That we're gonna give and we're gonna work. You can't get much without hard work. So that has been an emphasis that I've put on the girls. We've also talked about being first. Be first to introduce yourself, be first to sit in I'm going to introduce myself to professors. I'm going to introduce myself to somebody that walks in this field. I'm going to be first to speak because I'm opening up the door for communication and not I'm not going to act like you're not there and be disrespectful. So those are things we've touched on already. But hardworking, fierce competitors is what I'll be wanting and preaching all day, every day. Just and that are going to be on the other side, amazing people and gonna treat people the right way and do things the right way on and off the field. So I want the complete uh, female athlete. I want to empower these women to be great, and show them that you can do and be anything that you want. I think that's the great thing about me being a mom is my kid is going to be 2 in November.
Hmm.
So obviously I've seen lots of women do this in our profession. So I think it's so important to show young females that you can lead, you can run programs, you can run a business, and you can have a family, and you can have that. It just requires great balance, right? So and you have to have a great spouse, and I do. So my husband is awesome, and I couldn't do any of this without him and his support.
Yeah, as you bring that up, I just keep thinking of somebody like a Beth Torina, obviously, who's a head coach, pitching background, but also a mom, and has got the kids. I'm curious if you've reached out
Yeah.
to somebody like her or others in the industry there.
Yeah, right before I had my son, I talked to I talked to Beth, and I talked to Boo at Purdue. They're both close friends of mine, both moms with, younger kids. And just kind of asked, like how'd you do it? Like how do you plan this? And what does your day look like? And how do you balance? And so they both have been great mentors for me in that aspect. Also, we had a director of ops at the time. Her name's Kate Harris. On staff at Alabama, she had just had a baby. So like I also was leaning on her for, balance and like how you did this and how we were managing that. But Beth and Boo have really been great supporters and great mentors of mine, just moving into that new role of being a mom and then having to balance it. So I really appreciate everything that, they continue to answer all my calls and texts whenever I reach out. So I really appreciate that from them.
Absolutely, that's great. I'm curious, will you still handle the pitching staffs?
Yes, I plan on still handling the pitching. So the one assistant that hopefully we can announce next week, she'll handle the hitting, and then the other one will kind of assist, and then he'll do more of the defensive part. And so I kind of given everybody their area, but collectively we're all going to meet and discuss and be on the same page because obviously I'm going to be throwing batting practice, so I want to know what we're talking about hitting, and I'm going to be coaching third base, so I want to know offensively. I want us to be on the same page about the offensive approach and philosophy that we're going with.
When you looked at people like a Beth Trina, Lonnie Alameda, for example, also handles the pitching staff and his head coach, did that also kind of like when you looked at it, it's like, yeah, I can handle being the pitching coach still, but be the head coach at the same time? Because there's been a lot of successful coaches that do both.
Yes. Obviously, I talked to Beth about that also. And so it is different because, you're stretched in other areas that I didn't have to think about. Like I could put all my focus on the pitchers. Now I'm managing everybody, but my love is still with the pitchers. So I'm excited about next week when we get to go out there with individuals and I get to work with the pitchers. And I think you can do it. You just have to be that much more organized, that much more planned. And I think the great thing about what we did at Alabama is, I get the pitchers had a lot of responsibility with their bullpens, with their game planning. Like we did that together, like it wasn't just me watching film and then like preaching on to this is what you have to do. It was a collective. What did you see? Like we discussed it, we came up with a game plan together and we talked throughout the game. So I think that I'm going to do something similar here with, it's about teaching the game in that aspect also because they have the best view at the end of the day. They have the ball, they have they see what the batter's doing, it's their gut, and we want them to be committed with whatever pitch they're going with. So, I want to hear their thoughts about what's happening in the game also, and not just, hey, I'm seeing this and I'm on the side. So I think that's all important. And I think both Lonnie, Beth, Bev, you had Karen do it for a while. There's a lot of people on the SEC, Courtney, that do it and that manage both and that are great at both.
I'm curious, when you met the players for the first time, what was that like? What was the message to the players, and how is it going so far? It's early in the process, I get that, but you're getting to know them and they're getting to know you.
Yeah, so first I met them. It's funny because it kind of broke Twitter before I could talk to them first. So I know they weren't happy about that. We were trying to keep it under wraps. But I talked to them first on Zoom. It was just like an introduction thing. And then when I came over on campus the first day, we had a meeting and I had a couple handouts for them about, shaking a hand properly, how we're going to be great teammates, and how we're going to be first, and how to have a conversation, how to, when somebody new shows up to this facility that we don't know, like how can we engage in conversation? I think that's like a big gap with this, sometimes with the generation that we can easily communicate on text, but we don't know how to verbally communicate. So just addressing some of that. But there was a lot of excitement. I think that it was exciting at first, and then like it was reality when I've been going to weights and running in the morning to kind of set the standard that I want, and they know that I'm serious. And when they don't show up a morning, I point it out about like this is what happened. Like you can't have a day off and talk about wanting to be better and talk about wanting to be great and talk about the things that you are talking about, right? So there's a standard that we need to set and we need to be reaching to get that every day. And what does that look like? And there's some common language that we're going to work through the next couple of months to define those words. And I think it's one thing to say them, but it's another thing to define them and then actually like live them through. So I think that it took a minute. They weren't used to maybe being called out on a few things. And, this morning went a lot better than it did last Thursday. So that's what I'm looking for. Just little baby steps of improvement where we're trying to get that 1% better every day. But they seem real. I'm excited to get out in the field to see what they have next week and see what we got there. And I'm sure that'll be a whole different talk of standard and expectation that we'll go through next week also.
I can hear it in your voice, the excitement, the passion you are here to be at Memphis. So that was a no. It sounds it was a no brainer for you that you're
Yeah.
the right fit. At the same time, was it a little emotional to leave Alabama? Obviously, they gave you a great send off, which doesn't happen as much in this industry, as you know.
Yeah.
I listened to my friends Gray Robertson and Tom Canterbury, who got a little emotional about you leaving and how great you were
Yeah.
to them and helping them on the broadcast. How hard? What was that like to leave a place that has been like a second home to you?
Yeah. I'll try not to cry talking about it, but I cried for the whole week after I did the interview. I cry every time I leave Tuscaloosa. And it's just because it's new, right? It's just it is my second home. I've lived there for 17 years of my life. And so, and a lot of people are there that I care about, including the girls. But I'll tell you what I told the girls on the call when I FaceTime them. I talked to the pitchers first and then I talked to the team. But I just told them like one day you're gonna have to make a decision that's gonna be really hard, like I'm making. Excuse me. And you're gonna have to be led by faith. And I prayed a lot about this, and it was not easy because I couldn't make a move like this without having that faith and having that prayer with God and then having the support. And I knew that I'm still loved in Tuscaloosa, even though I'm taking this position. I'm a player at Alabama first. I'm an alum. I'm a softball alum at Alabama. So even though I'm not there, I'm still an alumni of the university. So, and that's what I told the team, like at the end of the day, we're still connected through sisterhood because we all played softball. We all wore the jersey. And that means something to me. And so if they ever needed me, I would always be there for them. That's like they're in my life forever and vice versa. And I thought that was important for them to hear because we all have to make tough decisions sometimes. And I had to do this for me and my family and my career. And I also needed to feel like I was supported. And I really was led by faith and I really prayed about it a lot. And so it is emotional. And I love Gray, Tom, Nate, at Murph Alley, Ryan, Jaden, like, Greg Byrne, like all those, there's so many great people at Alabama. And, it will always be home to me. But I also feel super supported in making this move. And I still feel like I can call on them and we're going to be friends forever because of our time together at Alabama.
How did you end up at Alabama as a player? Because I want to talk first about your playing career because you did such a great job as an assistant coach that to some in our audience, that's kind of overshadowed your great career, which is a compliment on how well of a job you did as a coach, right? It's kind of a
Thank
catch
you.
22 there. But talk about how you ended up at Alabama as a player.
Yeah, I'm from Pennsylvania, small town called Chambersburg. It's south of Harrisburg, about an hour. So I'm like in the north, like the southeast corner. I'm an hour and a half from DC, 2 hours from Philly. In my area, there's not a lot of travel ball teams, so I drove to Philly to play on a travel ball team called the Blazing Angels. No longer a thing. But then I went and played on a team called Team New Jersey. That's when I really got seen. So I hadn't really been seen by anybody except for like Temple, Penn State, all the Northeast schools had seen me because I'd played a lot in that area. I drove 4 hours to Jersey to play with Mr. Barcelona's team, Team New Jersey at the time. He once you made the team, he paid for you to go to California and to Rising Stars. So after I went to those two tournaments, that's when I was kind of seen throughout the country as a player. So started getting letters from a lot of the SEC schools, Arizona State, Oklahoma, those kind of schools were kind of like reaching out. And so it became like a little overwhelming for me. But when I narrowed it down, I chose my 5 visits were Alabama, LSU, Oklahoma, Arizona State, and Tennessee. Were going to be my 5. So my first one was Alabama. And so I went down on a football weekend, and football is a little bit different. It's not that much different because if you know Penn State football,
Yep.
I'm 2 hours from them. So people are fanatical about Penn State football where I'm from. So I kind of know that, but it is a little bit different in the SEC, right? So it was a little bit different. So it was exciting. Tuscaloosa looks a lot like where I'm from, lots of trees, a little country area. You go out, there's some cities, very similar. So, I chose Alabama because it was important for me at the time to be able to hit and pitch in college. Everybody forgets that I hit also. So it was important for me to do that. It was also important for me I wanted to be a part of building something, being a part of laying a foundation down for a program to be great, right? So that was also like I felt like I could come in and make my mark, make a name for myself, help be a part of like building this program that was going to be elite one day, right? So Murph, Alley, and Van at the time made me feel, that I was going to be able to pitch and hit. I could play another position if I wanted to. And also it felt like family, like that was going to be taken care of because I'm 12 hours away from Pennsylvania. That was a big thing for my mom to feel like I was going to be taken care of. And I knew I didn't want to stay up north. I knew I wanted to go play where it was warmer. So those were all deciding factors in why I chose Alabama. And I did visit Oklahoma and I like toured Tennessee. Ralph and Karen had just taken the job at UT through this process. And the weekend I was supposed to go to LSU was September 11th, which also happened really close to one of the planes flew over
Sure.
my high school and landed in DC. So that was all kind of close and that all had happened. So I had to push that visit back. And then by that time, after I went to Oklahoma, I knew that I was supposed to be at Alabama.
That's unbelievable. That's a heck of
Yeah.
and you had a great career. Obviously, two-time All-American, SEC Pitcher of the Year. Helped Alabama get to 3 Women's College World Series. I mean, you're pitching during that time when Monica Abbott is in the league, among
Yeah.
others. Stacey Nelson was starting to
Hmm.
get in there. I mean, describe what kind of player you were for those that maybe didn't see you play.
Yeah. I'd say I play similar to how I like to coach. Super competitive. I hate losing. I was a worker. I had to because I pitched and hit. So there's not enough hours in the day for me to do both with a coach. So you have to put some extra time in somewhere. I think I was ultra passionate, like definitely, we get a huge strikeout. I'm fist pumping and let's go and fire me up. And, finding just getting that like mental edge, like let's go. And I loved whenever we played against Monica, like that was, I love that. Like, I want that. Bring her on. Let's beat her, like, and I think that's the edge you got to have to be great and to face somebody like Monica, right? Like we're not going to fear her, like bring it on. We want that. I couldn't wait to hit off of her. Couldn't wait to pitch against them. So I think hopefully I brought all that. Hopefully I feel like I held people accountable and I kept, myself accountable and just tried to be that kind of spark and leader for the team. And I gave everything I had every game. So it just was a ultra competitive, passionate kind of player that, just trying to set the tempo. I love to pitch because I felt and hit because I felt like I could control it on both sides. And so if I was pitching crappy, I'm going to do something at the plate and vice versa. And so, I just that was really important for me to be able to do both. So I'm grateful I was able to do that for 4 years.
How is Stephanie Van Brakel the player and Stephanie Van Brakel Protho the coach different? How would they get if they were in the same, dugout? Would they get along? How would that go?
I would think so. I think they'd be pretty close. I think that my coaching style is, and obviously it's different. As an assistant coach, everybody loves the assistant, right? So, but I still think I demanded and expected a lot from our pitchers at Alabama. And, I always said that you're the only person with a circle around you. You have to work harder than everybody else, and everybody needs to see you doing it. Like the team needs to see that you work the hardest, that you're putting it in, that you're working for them because they want to make plays for you. I think when if you have the opposite where they don't do much, it kind of sends this message that like, oh, well, they think, they don't have to do this, and then they start pointing fingers. So we're going to work the hardest, and that was important to me. Like, we're going to work hard. Everybody's going to see it. I expect you to go at, like, we're going to attack people. I want you to have a good presence. I want you to have good positive self-talk, all those things. I want you to pay attention to what the batters are doing. Like, we're going to be smart pitchers. We're not just going to get in there and be robots and be told what to do. We're in this together. We're all trying to get people out. Like, at the end of the day, I want to win the game. So at the end of it, when it's all said and done, I want to win. So we need to be on the same page. So I'm not going to have an ego if you think that this is a better setup pitch or you would like to attack the hitter this way. So I felt like we worked well together in that. And obviously I'm going to be the same here. That doesn't change, but having that competitive drive and like expectation that like this is how it's done and this is how we're going to do it because nobody else is doing it this way, is the approach that I'm going to take with this team moving forward. Like, you've never done it this way before, so it sure is not going to hurt you. And nobody's going to be working this hard in our conference. Nobody's going to be doing this and getting them to buy into like, we need to work and push and elevate our game to be able to show up on the field. Because if you know that you're preparing on the back end, you'll perform so much better.
What got you interested in coaching? Because obviously you're playing great. You played professionally. What was it
Yeah.
that got you interested in getting into coaching?
At first, when I first got done and I graduated, I thought I was going to open up my own facility and do lessons and, give back to the game that way. And, excuse me, a couple months in, uh, I missed the competitive part of the game. So lessons are great because you get to see them, get better and get better. But I never got to see them like in game. I never got to see the end result of all the work we were doing on the side. So I missed that part of it. And then Birmingham Southern, they needed an assistant. It just kind of worked out and they needed something pitching. And I was like, this is perfect because I could still give lessons because I had to, because the salary was, not that much. And I was just starting out, which is fine, but I had to give lessons on top of it. So I was like getting the best of both worlds. But I missed that competitive part of the game, like the game strategy, seeing the final product, seeing our progression and seeing you like elevate into that picture we'd been working on behind the scenes.
Obviously, you got the irony of all this. You mentioned Van Studerman was your pitching coach.
Yeah.
You took over for her at Alabama. Now you left, obviously, to go to Alabama. That since then, Alabama's hired Lance McMahon, and who does Illinois hire? Van Studerman. I
Yeah.
mean, so in a way, you kind of helped. You got her back in somehow. I mean, what's your reaction there to Lance obviously taking over for you at Alabama, and then Van getting back in as a pitching coach at Illinois?
Yeah, I think Lance will do a great job. He comes highly regarded. Obviously, he was under Beth for a while, and then he went to Missouri. He'll step in there and do a great job. And I know the pitchers they'll listen and they'll do whatever he asks them to do. And then, Van and I have been close ever since I played at Alabama. So I never lost that relationship through all this, even though I did replace her. But I'm happy for her, and she deserves this opportunity. She's the reason, excuse me, I was great in college and part of why I become a great pitching coach, right? So obviously she means a lot to me, and she deserves this opportunity, and she's going to do great for Tyra in Illinois.
That's no question about that. She owes you. She owes you. There you go. You hope to get. Um, you've coached so many great pitchers, and honestly, we'll delve more into that the next time we get you on, because you do always a review on the barbecue there. And
Okay.
but obviously, Jackie Traina, Montana Fouts, Alexis Osari. I'm leaving off names just because there's just a plethora of them. But I'm curious, when you deal with your pitchers at Memphis, do you bring that up, the pitchers you've had and what the success they had? I mean, that's a good, I'm sure you've got a good speed dial too that you can
Yeah.
call up and FaceTime them too to talk to them.
Yeah, obviously, I still talk to all the pitchers that have come through and pitched for us at Alabama. And, I told Montana, I said, like, she's got an Olympics that she's going to want to train for eventually. And I said, you come to Memphis, you can throw to our batters, You can come, we'll train, all that. So, that relationship doesn't stop just because I'm not there. But, I think that I could bring up some things. So I think things that made them great were work ethic, their ability to be coached, their ability to fight through adversity, to overcome that adversity. I think those are things that I can immediately bring up. That's what makes you elite. It's not just it looks good. Like you only get to see the TV part, but you don't see Montana goes up to the field 3 or 4 times extra on top of bullpens to work on something specific because she knows she needs to get better at it. You don't see that like the after her freshman year, we struggle, and you don't see those conversations where we're having to talk about just keep pushing, just keep pushing. We got to keep working, keep thinking about what we can control. Those are things that you don't get to see. You just see the results. So those kind of attributes that they brought to the table, their work ethic, their ability to want to be great, to not only be great on the field, but to be great at academics, to be great in the weight room, to be great at running, to know that they want to work on, to go up and work on things extra, to be a great teammate. I think every single one of them is a great teammate. Um, Even if they were the star, I think Montana, she was good at really supporting Crystal, Salt, Sarah, Jayla, even through, like when she wasn't pitching. So not only just when I'm shining, can I be great? Can I be great when I'm not out there? How can I help be a great coach slash player slash leader on the back end for the rest of the staff? Because we can't do it without one another. So those are all things I'm going to be bringing up to our pitchers. And for sure I can get speed dial Sydney, Lex, and all them and say, tell us why, what we did that you loved, and that, what it takes to be great, and what it takes to be a great pitcher at this level.
Well, it's going to be exciting to see you at Memphis there, being back as a head coach. Obviously, being in the American there, you'll be obviously this year with the UCFs and the Houstons and the Wichita States, obviously still in the league, South Florida, and then new members coming in, including UAB. So you'll still be making some trips and playing in the state of Alabama
Yeah.
through the league. And who knows, maybe you get invited to a Bama Bash down the road, right? Could
Yeah.
that be worked out?
Hey, we're working towards that, hopefully.
Well, Coach, thanks so much for taking the time. I know it's a busy time as you're taking over the program, but congratulations once again.
Thank you.
I know a lot of people are excited once they heard the news, and look forward to seeing what you do in Memphis. And we'll definitely get you back on the show and talk some more. But thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Go Tigers, go, baby.